Welcome back, everyone, to Aspire to Lead, where we will be discussing the visions, inspirations, and experiences from top educational leaders. My name is Joshua Stamper, and you can connect with me on Twitter or on Instagram at Joshua_Stamper.
All right, Aspire leaders, we are back with the wonderful and talented Mitch Weathers as he's been traveling across the country. I finally locked him in for today. And I want to say that Mitch and I have a great friendship, one that is vast. But I think the one reason that we get along so well is that I actually got bumped just a few minutes for Mitch to go get coffee.
Yes.
So I truly respect that, my friend.
I was riding my bike to the office this morning, and I was counting it on my ride in, and it was 7 states in the last week.
That's crazy.
And I was like, I thought it was all on time and everything was going good. And I'm like, nope. I literally pulled up and I'm like, oh, I'm supposed to be recording with my buddy right now. So I appreciate the grace. And I'm going to be sipping on my coffee while we talk here.
As soon as I saw coffee in the text, I was like, oh, we're good. As I was,
you're
getting my second cup also.
Cheers.
So no worries. Cheers to you too, buddy. All right. So for those who are maybe catching Mitch for the first time, he has a wonderful book, Executive Functions for Every Classroom. I've got the book. I like to show it off every time that we jump on. And Mitch and I have been doing monthly episodes, bonus episodes, where we talk specifically about executive functioning. It's something that I truly believe in. I absolutely am passionate about this topic. I wish schools, especially during my time as a student, really focused on this. Because I think it would have helped me out immensely for not only college, but for my adulthood. And that's something that's been kind of a thread that we've talked through, Mitch, as just how important this topic is. But you also have a phenomenal company, Organized Binder, and we're going to talk a little bit about that too at the end. But before we begin, do you just want to share, Mitch, about your travels and how you've been supporting schools?
Yeah, sure. I'd love to. Well, I was in your state just twice this week. Unfortunately, not for a stay, but as a pass through. But yeah, we kicked off this really fun project in the state of New Mexico in the southeast corner. And in that state, it's a cooperative of, for the most part, rural districts. I think there were 5 or 6 districts that came together in this tiny little town in the beautiful state of New Mexico. And it was really fun. Some of these educators drove 3 hours each way. They all got a copy of my book, which was fun. I got to sign it and gift them all a copy. But they all also, this cooperative, if you think of it as more like a county office of ed in most states, funded the Organized Binder program this school year and next. And we were just now getting to the kickoff, which is great because one thing about that program is it doesn't have to be day one of school or you could really roll it out at any point. So I got to be there and spend the day with those folks. And you've had this experience, Josh, I know, in a speaking training kind of professional learning experience when it's just resonating. Like everybody was kindreds. It was really fun. You know how you can just feel that sometimes where,
oh my gosh, yeah.
Right. Yeah. So it was one of those events. So I'm really excited. I'll be back there a few times over the school year to support those folks. So that was Monday, Tuesday, and then I got to be home for a day. And then I was out in Delaware Thursday through Sunday for one of the most fantastic events called Research Ed. And if you are new to that, as I was, it's an event where cutting edge kind of cognitive science and researchers come together with practitioners, all of us educators at any level, teacher all the way through superintendent. And really just there's breakout sessions, there was a keynote, but it's all grounded in research and what's the evidence suggesting. I can't tell you how honored I was. I was one of the speakers at this event, and I'm not a researcher, I'm a teacher, as you know. And the way it's just an honor, I got to say, because some of my truly like my educational heroes, both people like Patrice Bain, who wrote the foreword for my book, the first time I got to meet her in person, right? We've been friends and connected for many years now. So people like that caliber, and then people who have written books who are researchers, many of them in the UK and Europe were also there. And, I was just like, oh my gosh, that's Carl Hendrick. And I get to just sit in the classroom and listen to this brilliant guy talk. I was like, so it was one of those like pinch me moments, but to be one of the speakers and unpack how my work is more research backed as opposed to research based. And I explain that in the book, that I've had the honor of figuring out why this work around executive functioning and predictable routines and modeling has had such an impact by reading the research and meeting these people. And even this happened again on the weekend. I'm like, oh, I get it. Like forgetting is a really big part of learning. Like we have to forget and then have all these exposures, and part of the routine with Organized Binder does that. Did I know that when I created it? No, of course not. And so to have that, still have those aha moments was quite fun. It was one of those weeks you go into and, talking to my wife, I'm like, okay, this is all on you and not me really, because I'm going to be gone. And she's totally supportive, but it's fun to be on the backside of it. So
yeah, shout out to our wives, because they do so much as we are able to travel the country and assist educators.
This podcast is a proud member of the Teach Better Podcast Network. Better today, better tomorrow, and the podcast to get you there. You can find out more at teachbetter.com/podcasts. Now let's get back to the episode.
Mitch, I want to slide over to your wonderful and fantastic book that I just touched on briefly. But, as we go through each month, we've tried to touch on a topic within the book, either one that's, overarching on one chapter specifically, or maybe just a theme in one or two chapters that kind of combine. Today, I would love to touch on goal setting. I know there's a whole chapter designated just for this topic, but I know for myself as an administrator, I had plenty of teachers where they started to work on goal setting with their students, found that there was benefits, but they also didn't have a whole lot of background in that as far as assisting their students to make proper goals. And they kind of were reverting to an old system that they experienced themselves as a student. And so they were trying to kind of build that from the ground up, not with a lot of support. And I'm curious, as far as the old goal setting, why doesn't that work? And I'd love to dive into some additional strategies after you answer that question.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to put you on the spot here in a little bit, but
I'm an open book, Mitch.
I try to unpack in each chapter, looking at where we've come from. And like you said, like, why isn't this working? And what adjustments can we make? And goal setting in particular is what's not working is that most people have actually never set goals. I mean, honestly, like it's bounced around a lot, but I mean, like really get specific about goals. And when you set a goal, that it has to have an action item or items attached. And so my experience in the classroom and then doing research with the book, it's like, there's no doubt that the research and the evidence is pointing to how goal setting improves student outcomes and even SEL, and having some bearing for on the teacher side, like even down to the daily goal, like where are we going today? Am I going to get that target every time? No, of course not. But am I setting a target? Is there my beginning with the end in mind? So the goal setting is literally like part of the fabric of what we do as educators, but so often it's just not present in classrooms. And you hit on it already. I think people are doing, if they get around to it, it's like, how do I actually do this? Because maybe I've done, and if they do it, like oftentimes we do in the classroom, we do what was done to us because that's what we know. And so the key with goal setting from my reading and research, and I love this word, is that ambiguity is the enemy. That you can't just have lofty pie in the sky goals, and hope that you can achieve them. And that's not just a kid thing. That's like a human thing. The story, I'll never forget the first time I incorporated goal setting into Organized Binder. I was realizing like, wow, we need to have a goal. So early in the year, I got gold paper, and it's still gold. It's tab A. It's what kids see every time they open their Organized Binder, which is a good thing because I'm going to unpack where this all ended up. But we set a goal in August or September, and I felt really good about it. And then we never looked at it again. I think 6 months went by, and I was like, okay, that was just a waste of time and resources. Like, this is not changing behavior. This is not bringing about clarity. This is, you know, and so I started thinking through that and trying to figure it out. And here's where I'm going to put you on the spot. You can't overthink it, right? I'm going to ask you 2 questions. I do this every time in a goal setting workshop, and it's hilarious because it gets the same results. So are you ready?
Sure.
Okay.
do
What's the one word or acronym that comes to mind when I say goal setting?
Smart
There
goals.
you go. Second question. What does SMART goals stand for? Go.
Specific, measurable. I'm trying to remember. It's been a while.
Exactly. We could have 50 educators on the call. And I always just start laughing at this because I'm like, okay, here we are, you know, marginally productive and successful, some of us highly educated adults all together in this room. We agree that goal setting is important. And we have this one acronym that floats around and we all use it if we ever do goal setting. Like literally every time I ask anywhere in the country, what do you think of with goal setting? SMART goals, right? Here's what for young and old people alike on the call, and say for teachers on the call, if you're trying to goal set with your students, teachers, don't use the SMART acronym as a mechanism for setting goals. Okay. Mm-hmm. I have this whole slide in this workshop that I do, Josh, and it's like Family Feud. You know, when you guess and it goes, and that big red X comes up. So I put the SMART acronym up and we define all the things, and then I put the big X up. But then it's not to say it's not valuable. I put up a big magnifying glass in green saying SMART goals comes in as a review mechanism. But ask a 5th grader, like, is this measurable? I have no idea. Is it timely? Maybe. Is it a SMART goal? I don't know. I've never set goals in my life. It's too convoluted. Okay. So when we talk about goal setting, and I'm skipping over all the kind of the evidence-based approach to this because it's vast, and this is true of K-12 and college. The word I unpack and explain in the book is I want you to keep goals singular, and I want you to keep it very simple. And what I mean by that is start with an overarching goal with a set time period. Time, right? There's that timely piece in the SMART acronym. But you set it for the students. And what we do with Organized Binder is that is usually 1 quarter or 1 term, not a semester, not a whole school year. So 6 to 8 weeks, maybe, whatever that looks like if you're on trimesters or semesters, right? And then come up with an overarching goal. If you've never set goals with your students, my very strong recommendation for the sake of modeling goal setting is you establish the goal the first time. Next time, when you come back to it, maybe let the students do it. And what I always did is I started with, okay, here I have a bunch of goals for you, but at the minimum, my goal is that I want you to be successful in this grade level or class, right? I have all these other goals for you, but if that happens, we've both kind of done our jobs. We're both successful. So let's just say my first quarter goal and I always taught 9th grade science, but we'll just say my first quarter goal in 5th grade is this or whatever. So for me, my first quarter goal in general science is to pass the class. I wrote that down and I had a template. So what I was writing on was exactly like what they had in their binder, and it said term 1 goal, and they would write that sentence in. Okay. I'd say, all right. And this is what you got to do. Goal setting with students needs to be a social endeavor. You got to talk about it. So then I would just throw it out to the class and say, like, okay, you're all the experts, right? I mean, you're in 9th grade. Some of you have been in classrooms for 11 years, or at least in some type of school, maybe 10. What works? Like, what do you do? Or what have you heard? Like, and the point I'm saying here, this is no stakes and there's no wrong answers. What do you know you should be doing that you're not doing? Who knows? Like, let's just create a list, and it could be popcorn style. It could be pair share. It could be whatever you want that way. And I would have a kid, because my handwriting is horrible and I'm a genetically poor speller. So I didn't free flow on the whiteboard because I would spell stuff wrong and kids would laugh at me and stuff. So I would have a kid up there scribing, and we would just make this list. And then we would talk about, like, okay, how does doing all of your homework, if you're a school that gives homework, how does that lead to passing this class? I stay organized. I review my notes. I pay attention in class. I get so much sleep. I come to school on time. Like anything like that, right? And then I would either let students pick one that's applicable to their lives, and I would always tell them, I'm like, hey, if you don't know, just pick one. Let's just try this for 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 4 weeks, whatever. But if you do, I want you to meaningfully pick what you think is going to help you be successful. That's the sub goal. So we have goal, sub goal. So let's just say sub goal is I'm going to come to school on time. It's more of a high school thing, right? Kids might be on their own trying to get to school. Or it could be I'm going to do all of my homework. Just pick one. And I'd have them write that in a complete sentence, sub goal. In order to pass the class, I'm going to come to school on time. Cool. Very simple, very singular. One goal, one sub goal. And now, what's the question I'm going to ask? Because a lot of kids think like, hey, I've set my goals. I know what I'm going to do. Right? I'm going to do all of my homework, or I'm going to come to school on time. Whatever one they picked for their sub goal, they think, oh, that's it. What do you think I ask them, Josh?
Well, we got to have some action steps to make that happen.
Perfect. Yep. I would say when and where. And they'd be like, what? I'm like, when and where? You say you're going to do all of your homework. I think that's a great idea. Let's try it for 6 weeks. Let's just test it. Your idea is if you do all of your homework, you're more likely to pass the class. So my curiosity is, well, when and where are you going to do all of your homework? Okay.
Wow.
If you say you're going to come to class on time, I think that's a great thing to try. Let's test that hypothesis. How do you do that? When and where? Well, at 7 a.m. when my alarm rings, I'm going to get up. If I get up, I'm more likely to be to class on time. If I'm to school on time, then I'm more likely. And then what I can do at that point as a teacher is say, I want you to forget about your goal and your sub goal, and I want you to commit with fidelity to this daily task for the next few weeks. And then I'd say, you know what that is? That's not goal setting. And I unpack this in the book. Those are character questions. Who are you going to be in this world? That's up to you. Are you going to do all of your homework or not? Now, are there things that get in the way? And of course, especially for young kids, they don't have control over everything. But if you can identify a singular daily task that's going to contribute or help accomplish that sub goal, and the sub goal is going to help accomplish the goal, you can help young people understand that goal setting isn't just kumbaya. We're not just going to sit around with acoustic guitars and hope for the best. I'm not saying that's a bad thing to do either, but when it comes to goal setting, there has to be a singular action item. And here's what happens, Josh, is once you do that, you can invite families into the process too. Hey, will you both encourage, AKA hold your student accountable for doing this daily task every day? It might take 5 minutes, might take more. It might take just getting up out of bed, but you can start to build those little successes. Families love seeing that plan. Like that's why it's the first thing in organized binder. Parents can look at it, families can look at it, but it gives students a roadmap. And then when I do have a student who might be struggling, and let's say I meet with them or even a parent-student conference, the first thing I always looked at was like, hey, open up your binder to your goals. You're struggling, like your grades, it may not be this, but it could help you be successful. Have you tried this yet? Because I think that's a great daily task and sub-goal and goal. Can we start over? And we're going to just try it for this week or these 2 weeks. And your family and I we're going to check in with you and support you. And it shifts this conversation around goal setting to very action, very doable, very clear. But all the adults are kind of coming alongside a student who has clear goals set. And it's no stakes. It's not yes or no. You might even get it wrong. Maybe you've done all of your homework and you're still struggling. Okay, well, what does that mean? Where are we at? Because at the end of those 6 or 8 weeks, if you looked at the organized binder template, and it's in the book, everybody, if you're listening, it shows there's a spot right underneath there that says, did I accomplish my goal or not? And then there's a why. And it's okay either way. We're just trying to get that clarity around like, oh, I didn't do that because of this. Now, should I try that again and adjust it the next 6 to 8 weeks? Sure. Should I move on to something else because I feel like I got that? Could be. But it's yours. It's your goal setting. So once that's established, Josh, goal, sub-goal, daily task, now I can bring in that SMART acronym and start to review that once I've experienced it a few weeks.
Right.
Is it a smart goal? Is it realistic? Is it timely? Is it,
Yeah.
And it just
refined.
it worked better than the other way around. So
Mm-hmm. No, I love what you're talking about, Mitch. Yeah, for sure. And this is actually very close to what I keynote on when I'm talking about capacity, right? Either with educators or with leaders, making healthy habits, right? And with those habits, you had said something, character goals, and I talk about creating our identity through our goal, right? So instead of saying like,
I like that,
I'm going to lose 20 pounds this year, it's more about I'm a healthy eater, right? I'm identifying as a healthy eater. And so because of my identity, I'm going to now construct my goals in line with that, right? Making things easy, and there's a lot of steps that we can do to make sure that we're setting ourselves up for success, both in our personal life, but then also with our students, which is completely what you're talking about. So absolutely love this. I almost want to dive even further in this, maybe in the next month, because I feel like we've just scratched the surface on this. I will. Now we touch into goal setting, and for those who are listening or watching on YouTube, I've been throwing up Mitch's website throughout our conversation at organizedbinder.com. So make sure that you're heading over there. Mitch also does a ton of free things as far as webinars. Yeah. Mitch, are they monthly? I feel like every month I see at least one that pops up. I don't know if that's
on purpose. I try to keep a monthly rhythm cadence to a free webinar. This next month will be Corwin, my publisher. We're doing a webinar. So Organized Binder's not hosting one. We'll probably do one in December. So if anybody's interested in tuning into that, just sign up. Go to our website and just sign up to the list. We don't the mailing list. It's not a newsletter. We don't spam you. It literally will be like, here's free opportunities. Here's cool stuff to check out and tune into. So
yeah, I'm signed up to that. I love everything that comes through from Mitch. And then of course, if you have any questions, maybe it's something on a previous episode or what we talked about with goal setting, Mitch is always available to you, or you can send it over to joshua@teachbetter.com. And, I can ask that question to Mitch on the podcast. So if there's something in regards to executive functioning, feel free to send those our way. And of course, we'll support you. Mitch, if someone does, want to either ask you a question, or maybe they want you to come out to their district to help support with this wonderful topic, how can they reach you, through social media or through your website?
Yeah, most handles on social, it would be at Organized Binder, or you just go to LinkedIn and type in my name, Mitch Weathers. Yeah. It'll come up, and then message me. I like, as you know, I'm a little bit of a ghost on social, but if I'm going to be anywhere, it's LinkedIn. So if you're on LinkedIn, ping me there. But the easiest way would be to go to organizedbinder.com and just hit the contact us link. Yeah. Even easier is mitch@organizedbinder.com. That's my personal email. I take it very serious. I will get back to you. I actually, if you look at the last page of my book, if you have it, 168, on page 168, before all the appendices and stuff, you'll see that I invite people to email me directly. And I love hearing from people. So,
yeah. And Mitch, we'll get back to you. I promise you. I've seen it firsthand. And then, of course, make sure you're picking up the book. If you're looking to grab it, I'll have a link in the show notes. Again, it's Executive Functioning for Every Classroom. And, definitely head over to organizedbinder.com, sign up for the email list. Grab that, because Mitch is constantly doing, free things for folks. And we love to support that. And then, of course, if you're on YouTube, appreciate that. Over at Joshua Stamper, make sure you're pushing the subscribe and the like button for the video. And of course, if you're looking to contact Mitch, or if you have any questions, of course, you can go to joshstamper.com. So, all right, my friend, glad you're caffeinated and back in town. And
I'm ready.
It's great to see you.
All right, man. You too. I'll see you soon.
Yes, and we'll do this again next month.
Okay.